Your nurse is nice. I like her. You were right, she genuinely seems to care about you. Good call on that. So, are you going to take her advice? You know what I'm talking about. The same thing I suggested you do? Find a quiet place to live out your life as a normal citizen? She's concerned about you. She doesn't want you to get hurt or killed. Can't say I blame her there. You know, peasant life isn't so bad. You could learn to garden, maybe learn a trade. You'd probably make a decent blacksmith if you apprenticed for a few years. What? Okay, look, I know it's been a lot of change over the past few weeks. Your life is totally upside down. Everything you thought you knew is gone. That would shake anyone up. And you've been too busy running to think straight, which is fine. Self-preservation comes first. But now you're in a new country. You have an ally in your nurse. You can start over and live a very nice life here. Highness, I know you know this, but let me remind you. The kingdom is lost. It's under new management. You have to learn to let go of the past. I know it'll take time. It'll probably take a lot of time. But I don't see any way for you to go back. Not unless you want your head separated from your body. Look, why don't we go back into the town square? I saw a tavern there that looked promising. Let's get a bite to eat and talk about your options. But I have to say, you don't have many. Argue with me when we get there. Come on. How's your stew? Good. I have to say, this is delicious. You never know what you'll get in a place like this, but we got lucky. I guess we should have known, given how busy it is. That's always a good sign. Hey, good to see you. How are the kids? That's great. Tell your wife hi for me. What? I get around a lot, remember? It's not that unusual to cross paths with people I've met before. Especially in a place like this, where travelers tend to congregate. Of course, I told you before, I like to make friends. I like to do a good turn for people now and again. I have my own goals, but it never hurts to help another along the way. No, I haven't. Why should I? What do my goals have to do with you? Yeah, but why do you care? My life is mine. I'm not your problem or your responsibility. Okay, you know what? I'll tell you some of my plans. We've been through a lot together. I can at least share that much. Trust, right? So, remember how I said most of my village got sick? And that my parents didn't make it? Well, there was one elf family in my village that had most of the power. Think like a local noble family. They didn't exactly rule, but they were the seat of all things important in the neighborhood. None dared cross them. If they snubbed you, the whole village snubbed you. Oh, it's a common enough setup across races and countries. The big manor house on the hill, the little village close by, the wealthy family more or less in charge. Anyway, the family in this case was the Greenstick family. Generations of Greensticks had lived there and lorded it over the local society. And they didn't like my family much. Who knows, my parents probably didn't bend the knee enough or something. The Greensticks were all about the attention and adoration they thought they deserved. They weren't particularly nice or kind. They didn't do anything for the poor. They attended local events rarely, and always with a bored expression. They genuinely did not care about the village or those in it. I even saw the lady of the house scream at merchants on more than one occasion for not being able to magically produce something she wanted that they simply did not have. You might say they didn't have the best grasp on reality. But I digress. When my parents died, the Greensticks were the ones pushing that my home be sold to pay debts. Of course, the local merchants were on board with this. That's the thing, everyone loved my parents, except the Greensticks. And most people didn't particularly care for the Greensticks, of course. They didn't do anything to deserve care. You should hear what's said about them behind their backs. But in the end, the Greensticks had the power, and the merchants didn't want to risk crossing them and losing their business. Besides, they did want the debts paid, so it wasn't that hard to go along. Oh, it gets better. Like I said, the Greensticks didn't like my family. I know they didn't like me, especially the oldest son. He really didn't like me. Let's just say I didn't like him the way he wanted me to. And his efforts to force the issue left him with a bloody nose. You get me. Anyway, I never regretted punching him, but of course, making an enemy of him was a bad idea. He was determined to see me homeless. I guess he thought I'd come crawling to the family to ask for help if it came to that. Which, I will admit, there were times I considered it. I wasn't sure where I could go or what I could do. The people in my village knew better than to help me when the Greensticks were against me. Leaving the village meant facing discrimination from my race, which I told you about. But in the end, I didn't have a choice. There was no way I would go hat in hand to the Greensticks. I would never give them the satisfaction. Of course, I left as soon as I could and started to build my fortune my way. Well, for a while, I just thought I'd travel and never look back. But over time, I started to hear things. Little bits and pieces of gossip from back home. See, turns out the Greensticks aren't as well off as they seem. They've accrued quite a bit of debt of their own. They're mainly coasting on their name and a whole lot of credit right now. They're in a precarious position. And here's the other thing that matters to this story. That big house they live in, the one on the hill, it's not entailed. I think you see where I'm going with this. Exactly. This is why I need money. I'm going to buy up their debts. All of them. I'm going to make that wretched family beholden to me. And then I'm going to take that pretty house. I'm going to make my village my home again, and I'm going to take out the trash. Stage a little coup of my own, but in a totally legal and non-violent way. They can find somewhere else to live. After all, it's the same kindness they showed me. A few reasons. I'm a patient person. The longer I wait, the more desperate their situation becomes. Also, it takes a really long time to get the level of wealth that I need, even through theft. It doesn't set me back too much to help a few others along the way. I'm driven, but I'm not a fool. Friends are worth having. I guess it's possible, but no, I don't worry too much about that. They're doing a decent job keeping their financial situation a secret. No one outside the village knows, and I only know because I still get news from there sometimes. I have allies there, even if they can't help me outright just yet. So the chances of someone else swooping in, no. And I did hear of a plan to marry that son of theirs to someone with money, but so far that hasn't panned out. There aren't that many wealthy families with single daughters, and the ones that do exist can be choosy. It wouldn't take longer than a few minutes alone in a room with the Greensticks to figure out that this is not a family you want to be tied to. I realize that. I live every day knowing my plan might fall through, for a variety of reasons. But as of now, this is my plan. And if it does fall through somehow, well, I'll have enough wealth to buy a place somewhere else and live a comfortable life. It won't be ideal, but I have options. That's quite a luxury in this day and age. Of course. It's not just about taking the big house and kicking out the Greensticks, although that will feel very, very good. I want to do some good for my village. I want to do all the things they didn't do. What's the point of having the power and wealth if you don't use them for good? Like, I would love to set up some programs for the poor. Things like training in new skills so they can improve their lot in life. I want to make funds available to buy food and clothes, patch roofs, improve farming techniques. I mean, every coin I give someone in need goes right to the local merchants when that person buys something, right? It helps everyone. And if I invest in improvements to things like farming and smithing, the output goes up. There's more to go around. The quality improves. Everyone benefits. Of course, I also want to host parties and festivals to make the village really feel like a community. And I want to build a better school for the children. Give them a chance at success right from the start. So yes, I have plans beyond just buying the house. I want to turn my little village into a place that every elf is proud to live in. So, do you think less of me now? Well, my whole purpose at the moment is revenge. That's not the most noble of goals, even if eventually I plan to do some good. Right now, I just want to see the looks on the green sticks' faces as I ask them to please vacate my home. That will be delicious. That's true, I guess you can't judge, although your revenge is probably a bit less likely. Well, for starters, you're talking about taking back a throne that you were evicted from by force, by men with very pointy weapons. In my case, I'm just buying a house. I get it, but do you have a plan? I mean, I have a plan. I've been working on my plan for a long time. So what's your plan? I know your situation arose slightly more recently than mine, but still, if you want to get revenge, you need a plan. And in making that plan, I hope you'll see that it's not a great idea and you'll come to your senses. I know, you have a goal. Just be aware of a few things, okay? First, what you're talking about doing will take a long time. Like a really long time, if it ever happens at all. Second, your particular situation could get you very, very killed, which I would prefer not to see happen. But you know that. The stakes are higher with your revenge than with mine. And third, I hope you're being truly honest with yourself about what would make you happy. Would revenge really bring you happiness? Would it solve all your problems? Even if you managed to take the throne back, what would you do next? Do you have plans beyond that? And are you certain, truly certain, that that's the life you want? Just because something is all you've ever known doesn't mean it's all you can know. The world is pretty big. There are a lot of adventures to be had. Don't limit yourself because your palace was, until recently at least, the only home you knew. I know, I expect there's no talking you out of your thirst for revenge. And like I said, I do understand. You have an overdeveloped sense of vengeance. All right then, justice, whatever you want to call it. You have a lot of energy to put towards your cause. I hope that if you get your throne back, you use some of that energy for good. Make some real improvements to the way things are done. Oh, don't worry. If you manage it, I already said I'd be there. Although, I won't live at court all the time. Of course not. I have to be back at my house a few times a year to check on things, make sure the village is doing well. I'm sure I can divide my time. But you know, that reminds me. I haven't given much thought to what I'll call my house once it's mine. Right now it's Green Sticks Manor, so that has to change. Let me think. What do you think of Nimue place? Too casual? How about Nimue's castle? No, it's not a castle, and that's too grandiose. Okay, I got it. Nimue's retreat. How's that? Well, I like it. I think it's the front runner. Are you done eating yet? We should probably get back to... Hey, Chester, how are you? It's been a long time. Really? We just came from there ourselves not too long ago. I heard about the unrest in the government. Very sad. The whole royal family, right? Oh? Who do they think escaped? That's interesting. How much is the bounty? That's a lot. Is half the population on the hunt by now? But I thought the people backed the coup. There didn't seem to be much love for the monarchy before. That's true, no problems get solved overnight. If it's not working out the way they wanted... Yeah, infighting never helps. Maybe they're not as adept at creating a stable government as they thought. That's too bad. I don't want the peasants to suffer, that's all. I'm surprised so many want the ruling family back, though. Well, no, of course not. If they're all dead, there's no point. I don't know anything about that, but don't worry. I'll keep an ear to the ground. It's good seeing you, Chester. Be well. I am not at all surprised to see that look on your face. Just because the ones who overthrew you are struggling to rule doesn't mean you can just walk back in there. Yeah, some of the peasants want you back, but others want your head. Did you hear that bounty? That's how much someone gets for you, dead or alive. Don't be stupid, I won't let that happen. Besides, you're good at defending yourself, and no one thinks you're the escaped royal. The new clothes help you blend. Some things you can't hide. The way you carry yourself, for example. For those who know how to look, you have royalty written all over you. But people see what they expect to see. In you, a peasant who's traveling with me, they don't expect to see a royal. I think you're pretty safe. All right, then, say you go back. Say you find a pocket of peasants who don't want to turn you in for money. Then what? How do you convince them that you're really who you are? And how do you overthrow the ones in charge? You haven't thought any of this through. But what proof could you have? I'm not from your country. I don't know what you're talking about. A birthmark? That's it. Who would believe that? Maybe, but still, you don't know what you're doing. And yet, that look on your face reminds me so much of my own reflection sometimes. Tell you what, let's just talk. Let's talk as though any of this is possible. I'll come up with every obstacle I can. You come up with whatever plan you think you can pull off. At the end of the conversation, when you're forced to admit I'm right and this won't work, you will go back to your nurse's house and let her help you start a new life. Deal? Good. Okay, Highness, tell me how you're getting your kingdom back.